Gentlemen, welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. And as is our custom at this time, I'm going to ask Officer Ott if he would please come forward. And likewise, all our members of the audience, would all please rise. Officer Ott will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Officer Ott. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you here, so those of you that are here for the first time, let me give you a little insight on how we're going to conduct the meeting today. The first thing that we're going to concern ourselves with is the consent agenda. These are applications that not only this board has reviewed, but our professional and our engineering staff has also reviewed. To our knowledge, there's no known opposition to any of these particular cases. So as we go forward, we will proceed this way. Mr. John Peterson, our head zoning administrator, will read these cases into the record, and as he does, the applicant, he or she, will raise their hand and identify themselves. Likewise, if there's anybody here in opposition to any of these cases, they will have an opportunity to identify themselves. If we have opposition to any of these particular cases, we will hear them in our regular numeric order as we go into our regular agenda. At that time, the process will remain the same. We only have one case at this time on the regular agenda. And again, Mr. Peterson will read these into the record. And at that time, the applicant, he or she, will have a 10-minute period to make their application known to this board. Likewise and collectively, those in opposition will have a 10-minute period to make their opposition known to the board. Our officer of the day is Mr. Jason Campbell. Anybody that's going to give testimony, if you would come forward, Jason will swear you in, and all testimony will be given to the podium to my right. With that said, John, do you have any special announcements you want to make at this time?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. There is one case on today's printed agenda, which has been withdrawn without prejudice, will not be heard today. That's variance case V133, Hussein Abaza. That case has been withdrawn and will not be heard today. The following announcement concerns variance applications requesting a reduction in lot size or a reduction in public road frontage relating to the official code of Cobb County, Chapter 134, adopted by the Board of Commissioners on July 28, 2015. Applicants are advised that variance applications requesting a reduction in lot size or public road frontage, which are approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals, takes the form of a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, who makes a final determination whether to grant the special exception for the requested lot size reduction or road frontage reduction. There is one case on today's agenda which this applies, and that's variance case V127, Arujo Ricardo. The applicant is instructed that if the Board of Zoning Appeals approves this variance application, a representative would need to be present at the Board of Commissioners zoning hearing on Tuesday, February 20th, 2018 at 9 a.m. for the final determination. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to start the consent agenda.
Okay, let's just jump right in then.
Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for December 13th, 2017. Variance case V124, Brandale Kiesler requests a variance to waive the setbacks for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an existing approximately 600 square foot awning building 1, required 35 feet from the rear to 6 feet, and to waive the setbacks for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a proposed approximately 384 square foot building number 2, required 35 feet from the rear to 15 feet, in land lot 75 of the 20th District. The property is located at the northern intersection of Silver Lace Lane and Heartleaf Drive, west of Dallas Ackworth Highway. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
The record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V124? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V125, David Sato requests a variance to waive the front setback from required 35 feet to 32 feet, and to waive the minimum lot size from required 20,000 square feet to 17,686 square feet in land lot 769 of the 17th District. The property is located on the west side of Orchard Road, south of Paces Fair Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to variance request number 2 for the lot size reduction is not needed and is withdrawn by staff. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V125? Let the variance, let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V126, Stephen Pullen requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious surface from required 35% to 39%, and to allow the proposed pool equipment to the side of the house in land lot 186 of the 16th district. The property is located on the east side of Shamus Drive, south of Shamus Walk. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V126? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V128, Chip Groom requests a variance to waive the front setback from required 50 feet to 40 feet, waive the side setbacks from required 12 feet to 10 feet, and waive the rear setback from required 40 feet to 30 feet in land lot 973 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Paces Ferry Road, south of New Paces Ferry Road. The staff recommends approval, subject to site plan review comments and stormwater management comments. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V128? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V129, William S. Walcott and Anna G. Walcott request a variance to waive the rear setback from required 35 feet to 30 feet in land lot 1174 of the 16th district. The property is located on the northwest side of Old Orchard Drive, south of Willow Glen Drive. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V129? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V130, Ashley Home Store requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable wall sign from 122 square feet to 282.37 square feet in land lots 649 and 720 of the 16th district. The property is located at the northeast intersection of Barrett Lakes Boulevard and Ernest Barrett Parkway. Staff recommends approval, subject to the sign renderings contained in the variance analysis. Is the applicant present? Is the applicant here?
Yeah.
The applicant is here. Is everyone here opposed to variance case V130? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V131, Don and Builders Incorporated request a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious surface required 35 feet to 41% from 35% to 41% in land lot 1046 of the 16th district. The property is located on the east side of Summit Drive, south of Hillwood Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments and stormwater management to approve the final impervious surface plan. Is the applicant present? The director show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V131? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V132, Michael Riddle requests a variance to allow an accessory structure to be to the front of the principal building for a proposed 858 square foot building and approximately 456 square foot existing shed, and waive the required setback for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for the proposed 858 square foot building, required 100 feet to 15 feet adjacent to the western property line in land lot 104 of the 20th district. The property is located on the south side of Old 41 Highway, south of Liberty Commons Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments, and variance is only for the building shown on the site plan received October 12th, 2017. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V132? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V134, Marietta Alliance Church requests a sign variance to allow a face replacement without a conversion to a monument-based sign in land lot 813 of the 16th district. The property is located on the west side of East Piedmont Road, north of Chestnut Springs Boulevard. Staff recommends approval, subject to the sign rendering contained in the variance analysis, with the zoning division manager approving any modifications. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V134? Let the record show there's no one opposed, and that completes the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman and Board.
John, is it my understanding that that we wanted to add case V86 to the consent agenda.
Yes, I'll go ahead and read it in, and then Mr. Gunther will read in the conditions.
Okay. First of all, we're going to have to, in order to add it, we have to take a vote to add it to the consent agenda, do we?
Yes.
Okay.
Want me to explain why?
No, just make the motion just to put it back on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that we put variance application V86 onto the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion second. All in favor signify by voting. There we go, everybody. Okay, we're going to put that on. John, now read it into the record.
Yes, sir. Variance case V86, Lauren Canatella requests a variance to waive the setbacks for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for approximately 323 square foot, one-story frame workshop. Required 10 feet adjacent to the northern property line to 0.8 feet, and from required 30 feet from the rear to 4.9 feet. And to waive the setbacks for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a play fort from required 10 feet adjacent to the southern property line to 3 feet, and from required 30 feet from the rear to 1 foot in land lot 463 of the 16th district. The property is located on the west side of North Hembry Road, north of Hembry Lane. Is the applicant present?
Mr. Gunther is going to represent the applicant.
Okay, is anyone here opposed to variance case V86? Let the record show there's no one opposed. It's back to Mr. Gunther.
Okay, Skip.
Okay, I'll just explain briefly for
Go ahead.
the purpose of the board. I spoke to the applicant this morning. They had a decision to make with respect to one of their two structures that are on the rear of their property line, both of which are over the sewer easement, and that's been the issue. One of the structures is over where their tap to the sewer is. In consultation with Cobb County Water System and Tim Davidson, they've agreed to sign a hold harmless agreement and to install, for both of the structures, and to install a water tap or sewer tap into the sewer line in a way that it doesn't cause them to have to move that existing structure. That's for the one structure that's on the northwest corner. On the southwest corner, they have a play structure, and they've agreed to take the railing and the walkway off so that it's less objectionable to the neighbors, and the neighbors are otherwise happy with that. So my motion is going to reflect all those things. So I'm ready to make a motion.
And we're ready for the motion.
Okay, so I make a motion that we add, well, we've already made the motion to add it. Make a motion to approve V86, subject to the following four stipulations. First is development and inspections comments. That's to get a building permit. The second is with respect to the one-story frame workshop on the northwestern corner of the property, the applicant is to purchase a new sewer tap from Cobb County Water System within 90 days. The third is with respect to the play fort on the southwestern corner of the property, the applicant is to remove the walkway and railing within 90 days. And finally, the fourth stipulation is the applicant is to execute a hold harmless agreement with Cobb County Water System within 90 days for both structures.
I've got a motion, I've got a second. Do we need to define that motion by saying everything has to be complete within 90 days to cover the whole motion?
I just said that for each one.
Each one of them, okay.
Yeah.
So that'll handle it. So everything's got to be complete in 90 days.
Well, what I didn't, I would add that to getting the building permit within 90 days as well, so that it's totally complete.
Very good. I've got a motion, I've got a second. Any comments from board members? Mr. Peters?
I do have one question. Was that motion for all the cases on consent or just this one case? Because it should be for all the cases.
No, this is for application V86.
We're just doing V86 right now. We're going to come back and do the rest of the
Okay,
meeting.
gotcha.
Okay.
And I thought I said that.
Very good clarification. Motion second. This is only case V86. All in favor signify by voting. All right, V86 is carried 5-0. Now, let's go back to the regular agenda, and I'm ready for a motion on the consent. Ms. Williams.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
And
I'll second.
second, Monique. Your microphone is not working.
Oh,
Well, there
we
it
go.
is, Christmas
I'll
time.
second.
There we go. Got a motion, got a second. All in favor signify by voting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is a
We
5-0 vote. Now, boys and girls, if your business is complete with us for today, if you've been on the consent agenda, you're free to go, you're free to say or stay. If you leave, I'd like you to leave quietly. You can hum jingle bells as you go out. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody. Have a wonderful, safe holiday. Thank you very much. All right, as they're humming and leaving the building and going out to spend all this money in Cobb County, John, we have one more case to hear, and that would be case V-127. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Variance case V-127, Arahu Ricardo requests a variance to add the minimum lot size, require 15,000 square feet to 12,353 square feet, in land lot 425 of the 16th district. The property is located on the west side of Lowell Drive, north of Catherine Drive. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-127? Let the record show there's 3 people opposed. All those wishing to address the board, please come forward to be sworn in.
all right, gentlemen, for the purpose of the record, I need your names. Please give me your name, please, first.
I am Hussein Abaza. I'm translating to him.
Okay, now I need him to identify himself for the mic.
Ricardo.
Carlo?
Ricardo.
Okay, thank you. All right, gentlemen, tell us what you want to do.
Basically, he just want to build like a simple house, like 3-bedroom house in the lot. And it's just like a little bit short in the area.
Right.
And we just noticed that you already approved something similar with like a little bit short. He will maintain all the setbacks from all sides. In previous area, same thing. So he's not hurting anybody.
All right, so it's about, with the tell us what the hardship is. You're about 2,800 square feet short from the zoning, so tell us what the hardship is.
What happened is when he bought the lot, he was not aware that there is like this short amount. He is short this much, and it was like I was helping him with the plans, and it was like a big shock when we went there, and they said like, no, you still have to have like a variance for this little bit area, but he already paid for the lot. He already owned it.
All right, how long ago did you buy the lot, for an example?
Like 4 months.
Okay.
4 months.
All right, anything else you want to tell us how big the house is going to be?
Just regular house for himself, like 3-bedroom house with, but with like living room and dining room, and no basement, nothing. All the setbacks are more than what is required. If it is 10, he will make it 11. If it is like 35, he will make it 40. So he's in previous area is much less than what is allowed. So everything for the neighbors is more than what is allowed.
All right, is it a wood house? Is it a brick house? Is it concrete? Give us a little more information.
Yes.
Do you have a picture of what house you want to propose to build or anything like that you want to show us?
It is compatible to the neighbors. It has like a brick front, siding on the side, and it is very, very compatible to the neighborhood. The neighborhood has like most siding and a brick. He has a brick and he has siding.
Okay.
And if somebody wants like add more brick, he will add more brick. If you say like we want more siding, we will add more siding. So whatever the neighbors ask, he will do. I mean, in any case, but he keeps the setback is more than what is required.
Is there anything else? You have time, so is there anything else you want to tell us about the house or hardship, anything else?
Just regular house for himself, just like a small house, regular for himself, for him and his wife and his kids, that's all.
Anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, it's just like,
Okay,
he works hard for the money, and to be honest with you, I mean, you already approved something similar. And he is open to any suggestions, like if you say like, we don't want this because the house has to be brick, he will do it brick. If you say like, no, we don't want this because he has to have siding, he will do siding. So whatever they ask, they will do, he will do.
Well, you're not showing us enough to really go into those kind of details. That's why I wanted to ask if you had a picture of the proposed house that you wanted to build, or how many square feet, for an example, is the house going to be?
The house is 2,800 square foot.
2,800 square feet.
2,800, yes, 2,800 square foot.
Okay,
Very similar to all the houses in the neighborhood.
in the neighborhood.
Yes, nothing special, nothing,
Okay.
nothing.
All right, anything else you want to tell us?
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, if you just have a seat, then we'll, at this time, we'll hear from the other folks. Thank you. All right, we'll hear from the opposition now.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
And again, for the purpose of the record, let me get each of you to identify yourselves.
Of course, sir. James Faceni, F-A-C-E-N-T-E. I live at 3307. It's the house with the pool right there, Low Drive.
Okay.
And this is the other
Wait,
neighbor.
okay, that's
I'm
enough
sorry,
out of
go
you. Let-
My name is James Michael Summerhour. I also own that house below, along with my sisters. That's our family home.
Below, so
But
just
right-
below that.
Below that, yes.
Okay. All right, now who wants to start?
I'll be glad to start.
Okay, go right ahead.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for their time today. This situation has come up before previously, about 15 years ago. The same thing happened, and we went through the zoning board, and it was denied, and here we are 15 years again. So a precedence has already been set to deny this. The problem is that lot, well, maybe I should back up a little bit and let Mike talk. We've been best friends. We've lived there for probably 25. He's lived there all his life, years. The whole lot, his house and that lot used to all be one property. That property used to own all of the land for the whole subdivision
That you see right there,
that you see, all the land.
and more.
Then, why don't you go ahead and explain what happened, and then I'll explain why I'm kind of opposed.
Well, the way it's split up now, my mother, God bless her soul, and my uncle, they're both deceased. My grandmother split that land, divided it for my mother and my uncle. My uncle passed away, I want to say around six years ago. And he sold the property, but he didn't get all, now, like I said, this is hearsay, but he did not get all the money that he was promised for the land from the people that sold, the lady that sold those gentlemen the land. So that land was appropriate, was divided, and we just used it, my stepfather used it for farmland. That's the reason why it was shortened, to keep from putting a house there. That's what it was used for, just for him to grow his garden and everything else. Now, mind you, when my uncle sold the land, my mother and my stepfather didn't know anything about it. She found out about it when he was on his deathbed. He told her that he sold it for 10, he only received 5. He never received his other 5. Like I said, now, this is the story that was told to me. Now, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's all the money is immaterial.
Yeah, okay.
We'll
I
stick
was,
to the
I was,
issues,
I was
yeah.
just trying to give you a history of it,
Right.
and I'm
Yes, sir.
sorry. So like I said, basically, it was divided up. And that was my uncle's, he sold it. That was my mother's, down at the bottom. But we used it as farmland because, again, as farming, my stepfather used it as farming. And when they found out about it, that's when they came through the zoning, and Trey and my stepfather, go ahead, you tell them.
So what happened was, the person that, Willie, that was his name, who owned it, that half, sold it to at the time, didn't do any investigation as far as whether they could build a house on it or not, didn't do any kind of research or anything. And then when they found out it was short, they went before the zoning board, and his stepfather, Gene Simmons, and myself came up and explained why that is way too small of a lot to put a house on. If you look at that lot and compare it to like mine or the others, you could almost fit 2 of those in mine. And I was making, I even told the zoning board before, if we're gonna start splitting lots, then that's fine, I'll split mine in half, tear my house down, and I'll build 2 houses and sell them for more. And then that just starts a precedent and the whole neighborhood goes.
And as you look in my lot, you can probably put maybe almost 3 of those lots.
And as the gentlemen were up here before, I feel very, very bad for them. The lady who sold them this land sold it to them under false pretenses that they could build a house there. She spent bought it for 30 grand, not that it's relevant. But and I approached them when I saw the water department sign go up, and I explained to them, I was like, look, you need to go back to her and explain that you got sold this land under false pretenses. That whatever contract you signed, you need to go back and sue her and get your money back, because you cannot build a house here. It's already been set in precedence once before from a decision from the zoning board, and I don't see it changing. With that, I thought it was over. Next thing I know, there's a pink sign up there, and here we are doing it again. So with that, I humbly ask you to deny this variance and keep the green space, keep the subdivision as it is, and keep others from coming up and requesting more exemptions and splitting up their lots as well.
Anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, sir. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. At this time, I declare the public session over with. And Ms. Williams, Judy Williams, represents this district, so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We all, when I saw the lot, I remembered that it had come in, but it came in I think in 2004 or something like that. And one of the reasons was because there was objections to it. And it was a self-created hardship. It wasn't a hardship that was made. It was self-created by the owners of the property, original property. And from the way y'all just explained it, that is what occurred. So I think the position would be that, my position is, he did buy the property 4 months ago, but he didn't do a due diligence check and to see, exactly what he would have to build a house. So I'm gonna, if y'all would just have a seat, and I'm
Yes,
gonna
ma'am.
call the
Yes, ma'am.
applicant up and ask him a couple questions. Yeah, you're fine, you're fine. I just want to ask some questions. You said the applicant bought the property 4 months ago,
Yeah,
and who did he buy the property from?
real estate agent.
A real es-
And yeah, I mean, he does not speak English, so
Oh,
the
okay.
real estate agent is speaks Spanish.
Okay, so he bought it from an individual, and how did you get involved in it?
No, I'm his friend. So
You're
he
a
helped me
friend of
with
his?
Yes, I'm just a friend of him.
Oh,
I
okay.
do not own anything in this lot or anything. I don't
Okay,
have
and you're
like-
not building anything, you're just here helping him?
Yes. In fact, he's building himself. He's
Oh,
the
okay.
builder. I am just like a regular
So
person.
he saw the lot, how did he find out about the lot? Do you know?
He's trying to build a house. He saved some money. He's trying to build a house. Then he bought the lot. This real estate agent told him this lot is good.
Mm-hmm.
So he bought it, and he asked me okay, can you help me put the plans together, whatever. And I put the plan together. I went to the city, and then they said, oh no, it is a little bit short. So I was really, really shocked. And then, but I realized that you always approve these things. We noticed in the previous sessions, there was, I think the first one was much less than that, area-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And he is keeping the setback more than that is what is required. The setback from the lift more than that is what is required. So for the neighbors, I mean, he's leaving more setback for you. If it is 10, he's leaving it 12. If you want more, he will leave even more.
Okay, all
So
right,
that is the thing.
that's what happened, okay,
What he will hurt you. He's not hurting anybody.
okay.
Your setback is for you. Your setback is for you. You need more, he will do more.
Yeah,
You
thank
need brick,
you.
he will do brick.
Yeah, I understand, thank you. Now, if you'll have a seat, let me get the opposition back up here, because I have one question to ask them.
You
Yeah,
guys
y'all can just have a seat.
Have a
and-
seat, and we'll call you back up.
Okay, my question to you would be, how would building a house here hurt y'all? What would be the impact of a house, a new
Well-
house?
I don't even know where to start. That lot, I mean, you'd have to build the house, and he's talking 2,800 square feet. I think mine's only 1,800 square feet. So that's gonna be bigger than mine, which if you put mine on that lot, there's nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, my property value is gonna go down. You know, there's going to be, all that field absorbs tons of water from that hill. All that's going to have to be figured out. I mean, the list just goes on and on. If we go back to the previous case, we can find all of the issues that there were. There were a lot. You know, extra traffic, where's the driveway going to go? Where are you going to park? I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And like I said, if you guys want to give them that exemption, then I'm going to expect the board to do the same for me, and I'm going to tear down my house and build two and make my money too. Because that's what's going on. People are splitting up their lots, and unfortunately, unbeknownst to these gentlemen, somebody sold it to them under the false pretenses that they could build a house there. And without the due diligence done, now here we are. So if you guys are acceptable to that, then why can't the rest of us do it? I've been a Cobb County citizen since
Okay,
I was 18, I'm 50.
All right,
I mean, come on.
You've answered the question. You've answered
Sorry, I
the
didn't mean
question.
to be argumentative.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted an opinion.
Yes, ma'am. Apologies.
I didn't need to get preached at today.
I'm
Thank you very
passionate about
much.
this. I apologize. It's just been a long battle.
I can understand, but my dilemma is that it was a self-created hardship, but it was created by your family, the hardship. And now we have a little tract of land that basically we have to figure out if we're gonna leave it as green space because it was an error apparently, or whatever occurred, and the person who bought it didn't do a due diligence search of it, so. But thank you, y'all can have a seat.
Well, wait, before we do that,
Okay.
Judy, let's see, is there anybody else have any questions for these gentlemen while we're here?
I got a question for us.
I do have a question. You've indicated that, that if we grant this, you would expect the same thing. What they're asking for is a 2,600 square foot difference. That's not an unusual request. That's what the variance board is created for. I do remember this case in '04. We pulled it, but I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing. Understand this, that this gentleman, or anybody has the right to come before us and ask us this all the time. I don't think this is probably not going to be the last time. You've had it, you know, in '04. I would suspect that somebody else could come in. It is not an unusual request. What they're asking for is 2,600 square foot difference. So it's not an unusual request. We do see these all the time. I was just wondering, you know, you've gone through a period of time where you've enjoyed that property with nothing there. So I can understand your standpoint. You don't want to see anything built there. I understand that.
He's also maintained it the whole time.
Yeah,
Well, that's great. I think that's a good neighborly thing to do. Quite frankly, from a board's perspective, I don't know if I have enough information really to make a decision, because these fellows showed up with no architectural renderings, no square footage, no idea what the house is going to look like, where their setbacks are going to be. So I'm in a little bit of a dilemma. I can only speak for myself on how to approve this, but they have a right. And I want you to understand this: anybody that buys that property has a right to come in and ask us that. So it's not going to go away in the future. It's probably going to be there for a while. Any other questions for these gentlemen before they have a seat?
No, but I have a question for us.
Okay, thank you,
Matt,
guys.
one question.
No. We only ask you the questions and then you answer. That's the way it
Yes.
works.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I do
Wait,
have
Brian,
a
hold on.
couple of
We
quick
do have
ones.
a question for you.
I'm a little confused on some history. It was, who owned the property before it was sold?
before they bought it.
Yeah.
Her name was Miss Mercedes. I don't actually have her full name with me right now, but I know her first name was Miss Mercedes. And I spoke to her about trying to purchase the property. And and again, like I said, she was trying to make a profit. I understand to a certain extent. And I explained, and she knows the whole situation and the history of what happened. Now, who owned it before then was my uncle. His name was Willie Clifford Lowe. He owned it before. And before then was my grandmother. Her name was Mary Llewellyn Lowe.
Okay. And this may be beside the point, but I'm a little curious as to know why she bought the property if she couldn't do anything with it.
Well, what happened with this is, and like I said, this is where it's explained to me. Her ex-husband, who is also now deceased, him and my uncle came into an agreement about this property. Now, my uncle was sick. I know he was definitely sick. He was a Vietnam vet and he had cancer. He died of cancer. So, from my understanding, him and this other gentleman came into an agreement and he sold the property without telling anyone. way undervalued. At that time, I looked it up, I think the property was worth 20,000 maybe or so, came to an agreement for 10,000. He only received half of his money before he went into the hospital and died up in Rome. That's where he passed away at, in Rome. So with that, she was given the property by her now deceased husband. This is what she told me, by her now deceased husband before they got a divorce, before he passed away. Now, I didn't hear anything from her until about, I want to say maybe about 3 years ago. And like I said, I was maintaining the land, and my mother also passed away around that same time. So, and I was conversating with her. I would cut the grass. I would keep it maintained to keep the county from coming up and, her getting in trouble and everything else. And I wanted to work out a deal to try to repurchase the land. At first, she wanted to sell it to me for like $45,000 to $50,000. So, I mean, everybody tries to make a profit, and that's fine, And
Okay.
I think the last time I spoke to her was, I want to say maybe in June or July. And I didn't hear anything else back from her. And then next thing I know, just like I saw the board on the fence and everything else. And now
You answered my question,
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm
That's-
sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to
that's,
run along.
that's what I wanted to hear. I
Okay.
just needed a little history on it, thanks.
That satisfies you?
Yep.
Skip, do you have a question?
Yeah, as I sit here and hear this, I do have a question for you too. We don't have a site plan, we don't have a plan for the house, as Murray points out, as the chairman points out, we don't know what it's going to look like. My question for you is there any kind of a plan for a house that might go on there that the two of you would agree would be appropriate? Could you characterize anything that could go on there?
Not
Or are you
I-
just simply saying no house, period?
Yeah, no house.
I mean, I would love to. The picture, it looks a lot bigger there. When you're there, I mean, it
Yeah.
does not
I've
look
seen it.
very
I was
big at
there.
all, so.
Yeah, it's small. I wanted to ask that question.
Yes.
Because that then raises the question for us is, what is the, what are the allowable uses for that property, given its current state? That's a question for us.
Do you have a question? Monique has a question.
So since there is no a house or anything that you guys would like to see on this land, would there be consideration for purchasing the land from Mr. Ricardo?
I would. Yeah, I would like to. I mean, that's all that my family has, and I would like to try to keep that. And I tried to explain that to Miss Mercedes, and I wanted to purchase it. Now, I don't have 20 or 30,000 right offhand just to give somebody for it, and I told her we could work out.
Right, but
Yeah.
he's the new owner now, so
Yeah,
would you consider
well,
purchasing
well,
from?
and I would do that,
Okay.
as long as he would try to work with me, I have no problem with that,
Okay, thank you.
All right, Judy, you have anybody else have questions for these two gentlemen?
No, I think, for me, it's not a question. The issue before me is the lot size, not the house size, not the way the house is going to look. That's not an issue that really concerns me. The issue before me is they be allowed to build on a lot that's less than the required 15,000 square feet. We turned it down in 2004, and I think we should probably turn it down today. So my motion would be to deny this request.
All right, I've got a motion. I have a second to that. Got a second. We're in discussion. Any comments, discussion? I want to throw this open as a discussion piece. Folks, you guys can go ahead and sit down. Let me bring these two gentlemen back up. We're kind of getting out of our boundary here, right? And Ms. Williams is absolutely right. The only thing before us is the lot size. You need another 2,600 square feet to make this lot a legitimate R15 lot. So that's the only thing we can talk about. But because there's human interest here, I wanted to ask this question. There's a lot of legal questions here. If you bought a lot that does not comply to an R15, was that a legal sale or not a legal sale? I don't want you to answer these questions, but these are questions that I would think that you would want to find out. The other thing is, they have indicated that they possibly might want to buy the lot from you. They have also indicated that given the house size and the way you're going to build it, may be acceptable, may not be acceptable. We can't answer those questions because you didn't bring any of that information. And here again, Ms. Williams is correct. The only thing before us is the 2,600 square feet, which in my opinion is, we see these things all the time. Do you have a question or do you have a comment that you want to make? I noticed you wanted to say something. That's why I brought you back up, to be fair.
Oh, thank you so much. First, it is like two-story house, so the footprint of it,
You can forget all that because you didn't bring us anything. So we can't visualize two-story, three-story basement, we can't visualize any of that because you didn't bring us anything we could see.
basically, if they want to buy the lot, I'm 100% sure because he's in the hook now. He will sell it to them, same price he bought it, and also with a little bit of a loss. If they will sell him like a little bit, like the shortage, he will pay, like if he paid, I think like 35,000 for it. If it is like 10%, he will pay 20%.
Okay, but these are all questions that are not before us. These are questions between you and the other gentleman. So we can't answer any of these things for you.
If you want, we can come back with the plans and we can show them the plans and they can have input in the plans until they are satisfied or until there is like, so we can do that. We can do that.
Okay. All right, now, I have these gentlemen here. Does anybody have a question for these gentlemen? Okay, have a seat. Thank you. Where I was going with this, Judy, is I was just wondering if we want to think about it, continue this or hold this case for a period of time.
No.
All right, I've got a motion on the floor to deny it. I've got a second. All in favor, signify by voting. Wow. Okay, we're going to deny that application on a 3-2 vote. John, what else we got for us? That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Christmas time. We want to wish everybody a happy Christmas and a happy New Year. And with that said, our meeting is finished for today. Thank you.